Hello everybody. So I got a project working on today. I'm working on the old Husaberg. You guys have seen this before, the FB 450. What I'm gonna do with it today is I'm gonna build a battery box for it. It didn't come with the original battery box. So I'm gonna just fab one out of one of this pieces of this strap metal. These are used for like hurricane ties on building houses, but they're galvanized, or I think they're the right diameter, or thickness anyway. I think it'll be real simple to build one. I'm gonna move it though. I'll show you on the bike what I'm gonna do with it. So the original battery box for these guys was located up here. Like you can see, this is the battery I'm gonna be removing. It's a teeny tiny little battery, but some way or another, they've built a battery box in there. But if you guys can see right here, there's a big open area under the seat. And I think originally there might've been a toolbox or something that went under there. I'm not really sure, but there's plenty of space under there. It'll be a little easier to get to. So I'm gonna pull the seat off and we'll see what we can do under the seat for a battery box. Take off just that one bolt, but I'll show you guys the space I'm working with. So the battery house is pretty small. I think if I build a little bracket right under there, it'll be real simple to install right there. So we're gonna give it a try. Alrighty, so I've decided I'm gonna put it right in this area right here. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna build this bracket. I got this piece of flat bar. I'm just gonna bend a little small tab on this end and then just shape it almost like a U with the tabs on the end. And then what I'm gonna have to do is weld some little tiny tabs right there onto the frame and use that to bolt in. I'll show you guys how I'm doing it. So I think I can just use that as the tab, and I'll just take the measurements and basically build a U out of this thing. So I think if I put a square on there, then I should be able to get those bands pretty straight. This whole thing's gonna be a little bit of a caveman looking deal, but you know, I found one of these on eBay or on the internet somewhere. It was $350 for a battery box for this guy. So you guys know I'm a way too big of a tightwad to spend that. This piece of strap metal cost me $10. Starting to take shape a little bit. I'm making it just a tiny bit oversized. The battery came, here's the little Sorority battery, and it comes with a pretty nice foam kit. So I'm gonna line this box with foam when I install the battery. Well, that's the start of it. I just use a grinder with the cutoff wheel and just cut that edge off, and then I'm gonna have to drill bolt holes in each side of this. So I've made it just a little bit too big. It's got a lot of flex, and like I said, I was gonna use that foam kit to line the battery box with, because it needs to be about 5 3/4 to the outside. And it's just a little bit too wide, but it's flexible enough. Yeah, I think it'll be just fine. This little guy of a battery only weighs about 1 pound. So I'm way probably overkilling what I got to build here. So there it is. I'm just gonna drill some small 1/4" bolt holes in those ears, and then I'm gonna build another U for it down here to hold that battery in. All right, guys, I'll show where I'm at on the project. So I got this little horseshoe deal built. I drilled the holes in the top. I shut the camera off for a minute. I had a little distraction and went ahead and drilled them holes. But so here's how life goes for me. This guy is about 2 inches. The battery's 2 1/4. So instead of being able to just come straight up with some sides, I've got to build another horseshoe like this. So what I'm gonna do is just build another horseshoe that goes up in this fashion. I'll put it about 2 1/2 or so, or maybe 2 3/4 on the bottom, and then I can stick a little foam all the way around it. And then I'll bring it up, 3 inches or so. Then I'll just tack weld the bottom of that. That'll be real simple, that part of it. So. Try to get it as square as I can to make those bends square. It seems to be working all right. Say it's a little bit of a caveman deal, but. You guys have been watching much of this channel. You know a lot of stuff I do around here is a little bit of a caveman operation. I really believe for this battery box, I mean this battery, this guy only weighs a pound. I think what I'm doing is going to be plenty heavy enough to hold it together or to support the battery. So there's the other half of it. So I'll just cut that off with the grinder and tack her together. So there's the other half of the horseshoe. So I'm just gonna lay those two pieces together like that. I'll flip them over on the back side, put a little tack weld on there. Probably just with the stick welder, just turn it down real low. It won't take much to hold that together. So right now as I'm measuring the tabs, I'm gonna cut a couple small pieces and weld onto the frame of the bike. Then I can just put some small 1/4-inch bolts through there. Got a couple 1/2-inch tabs. It's gonna take a little bit of fitting on there because the frame is not square. It's kind of on a taper where the seat is. So it'll take a second to fit that, but it shouldn't be too bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these little tabs and I should be done cutting with the grinder. Okay guys, I'll show you where I'm at on the project. This is, I've got it upside down there. I'm gonna tack those two pieces together. I'm just using a stick welder on that. It ain't gonna take much to hold that together, so I'll just put a few little tacks on it. I've been working on the tabs a little bit. I've shut the camera off just because it's kind of tedious to do all that fitting and such, but so what I'm gonna end up doing is welding those tabs on with the torch. That's going to be the hardest part of this whole job. That tube on that frame, I'm sure, is pretty thin. There's a lot of welds on it, you know, little tabs and such, so I don't think I'm going to damage the frame, but I'm going to want to clean it real good and take a little extra time on that part of it, just because I want to use the torch and make sure I don't burn any holes in that frame. Don't want to take any risk of damaging the frame. It's up high, it's not like a critical point. So I don't think there's any way I can get myself in trouble with it, but still want to take the extra time. I'll go ahead and tack this thing together. The welding on galvanized ain't that good. The smoke stuff's real bad, but as you guys can see, I just put 4 little tacks on there. I don't think I'll live long enough to see that come apart with a 1-pound battery hanging in it. I think I've got plenty of steel and plenty of strength on this guy. So now comes the tricky part. We'll get going on welding those tabs on. Alrighty guys, I'm getting ready to weld this clip on. This is the part I've been dreading the worst. It's not that I don't feel comfortable welding with a torch. It's just, I'll show you where I'm at. It's kind of like the frame where the seat and stuff is. I guess I'm a little nervous about overheating it, whatever. I think it'll be fine. Show you guys what I got. So this little clip I'm gonna weld on right there. You guys can see they've welded all kinds of stuff on this frame. This is where the seat hooks into. This is where these bars and stuff go into. So I think the steel is ductile enough that it's fine to weld on. You can see all these little clips that are welded. Not a big deal. So I think I'm probably worrying over nothing. But anyway, we'll just use a torch, try to get a good weld on it, put a clip on both sides. So here we go. Okay, here we go. Try to keep it away from the gas tank. Well, I think that actually welded up pretty good. Takes just a minute to burn through that galvanized, but yeah, that actually welded really well. I'm gonna pull that down, pull that little brace. You guys can see that. So I'm gonna pull this little brace apart and I'm gonna fit the battery box up in there, and then I'll fit the other tab in there. Alrighty guys, about finished up the Husaberg project. I shut the camera off because it had just quite a bit of little tinkering and fitting and such that I felt like was pretty boring, but I think it turned out good. So I'll show you guys the final product. So here's the battery box that's underneath the seat. This is, I think this might be like the ignition coil or something. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but that fit in there good. What I did is I just used some foam. It's kind of hard to see, but see down in there, there's a strip of foam right there. There's some foam front and back. And realistically, I just used a big putty knife and shoehorned that baby in there, and it is so stinking tight, it ain't going anywhere. I ended up having to run new cables. So I put it in one of those plastic black flex conduit deals. So here's the ground. Here's the hot. Same color wire, I just labeled it basically with the different colors of tape. So I think it turned out pretty stinking good. That baby is solid as a rock. I don't think I'll ever have any trouble with that at all. So I'm tickled pink with it. Like I say, this battery weighs about 1 pound. So this, pretty heavy steel bracket, I think is gonna be a little bit of overkill for it, but it's holding it really secure, it's solid. Tickled pink with it. So you guys have seen me start this old girl with the Kickstarter, so we're gonna start it with the electric. See if it's any easier. So the engine's stone cold. Laying my hand on it. Not like I got it warmed up for the video. That's a little bit easier than kicking, I would say. Well, I'm tickled pink the way this worked out. This Shoroya, I can't even say it. I'll show you the brand of battery. I started out with anti-gravity, not to badmouth them, but the battery they sent me was bad. It only had about 3 volts on it, and it wouldn't take a charge. I tried to charge it for, about a full day. Couldn't get it to hold a charge. And so I sent it back. They refunded my money with no questions asked. But so I seen there's a guy that's got a YouTube channel, Steve Jones, and he rides husabergs. Him and I have been kind of messaging back and forth. He's been a great help on a few things, but he's recommended this Shiroi battery. I'll show you the brand. This guy came, I put it on the charger for a few hours. It's holding about 14 volts, so I am tickled pink with it. So that's the battery that I used. It's slightly bigger than what the one I pulled out of it is, but I'll tell you, it sure seems to be good. It's holding about 14 volts, and it starts this bike slick as a whistle. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Steve Jones. Subscribe to his channel. He's a big husaberg guy. I think he said he has 3 husabergs right now. He loves working on them. He's done some great videos, so check his channel out. And big shout out to Mike. He's the one that got this bike for me, so I hope he watches this video. Been tickled with it. Yeah, Mike's a great friend of mine. Made me a great deal on this bike. It's been fun having a little project. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe.